Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And we are here. Super Bowl 57 is this Sunday between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs in their third Super Bowl in 4 years, looking for their second championship in 4 years. The Eagles, this is their sixth appearance. This is their second appearance in 6 years. They're looking for their second championship in 6 years. And I think we clearly have the two best teams in football. I think we got the best roster in the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the best roster in the league, and you got the best player in the league with Patrick Mahomes. And that's why this matchup is so compelling, because you love when you get a matchup with the best player against the best team, and we clearly have this matchup. Both teams totally deserving to be here. The Eagles, they blew out the Giants in the divisional round. They blew out the 49ers too in the NFC Championship game. And then the Chiefs, beat the Jaguars in the first round despite Mahomes' hurt ankle, and then despite his ankle too in the AFC Championship game, they got their revenge against the Bengals. So I'm really excited for this game. And I do have a strong rooting interest in this game, obviously, and that's with the team in red. But I'm just so excited for this game. I think this is a great match between these two teams. Justin, your opening thought on this game?
Yeah, it's been two of the best teams all year in the league. The Eagles, when Nick Sirianni's done the first 2 years here, last year they got to the playoffs, got bounced by the Buccaneers, and then this year, the turnaround that they had, and they go 15-2. The development of Jalen Hurts, and then what Kansas City's been able to do this year too. They lost Tyreek Hill, and that offense just did not skip a beat at all this year. Yeah, it'll definitely be a fun matchup. Eagles on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive lines. They've been the best in football, and if you're going up against a guy like Patrick Mahomes that is really good at extending plays, he can make plays. He's great at making plays on the run. Again, we know he can make all the phenomenal plays. So it'll be interesting to see how kind of, the chess match goes between, him and the Eagles and trying to slowing down Patrick Mahomes. We'll see how healthy, both quarterbacks are. You mentioned Mahomes battling that ankle, and, Hurts had that shoulder injury because that NFC Championship game, he didn't totally look, wasn't totally too accurate. But, this should be a fun matchup. And, Yeah, I know. Yeah, for I know you will probably want the Chiefs to win. For me, I can't stand either team, so it's kind of I'll just sit back and enjoy the game and not really be rooting for anybody in this one.
Yeah, I know why you don't like either team. I know why. Yeah. Obviously, I know why you don't like the Eagles because they beat you in the Super Bowl 5 years ago. And I know why you kind of don't like the Chiefs is because you want the Patriots to be you want that you don't want the Chiefs to duplicate what the Patriots did. And there was a little bit of a rivalry there between the Patriots and the Chiefs when Brady was there. That Brady Mahomes thing is a little bit of a rivalry.
Oh yeah, it is. So I kind of want the Chiefs kind of got to slow down a little bit. I know there's some really good quarterbacks in the AFC that will battle them there for the next couple of years, but I kind of don't. I don't want the Chiefs to get that mark. Gotta slow down that dynasty there a little bit.
Absolutely. Yep. So we'll get into our 3 keys to the game, and we'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll start with the Chiefs. I'll start with me, and my 3 keys to the game for the Chiefs are number one for me for the Chiefs. I think number one, what they have to do is they have to protect Mahomes. It's pretty obvious. They got to protect Mahomes. The Eagles had 4 guys who had double 4 guys with multiple sacks with double-digit sacks this year. I mean, you had Hargrave with 11, you had Sweat with 11, you had Graham with 11, and you had Reddick with 16. So they gotta protect Mahomes, because if they don't protect Mahomes, especially on his bum ankle, it is going to be a long, long day for the Chiefs. The second key: contain Miles Sanders. This is critical. They have got to contain the Eagles running game, because if they don't, the Eagles will go up and down the field against them all day, and they're going to put up 30. They got to contain the Eagles running game. That is crucial in this game for the Chiefs. They got to contain the Eagles running game and force Jalen Hurts to beat him. And the interesting thing is going to be is what kind of defense is Spagnuolo going to play? Is he going to play man coverage? Because it could be a little risky playing man coverage on this receivers, or are you going to play zone coverage? He's played more zone coverage than he has pretty much throughout his career this year, because he has a young corner in Trent McDuffie, and he has L'Jarius Sneed, who's a decent corner but not a great corner. But are they going to play man coverage, or are they going to play zone coverage? I might think they might play a little bit of man coverage. I think maybe they put either put Thornhill or Reed in the box to try to stop Sanders, and then play some man coverage to try not to give easy completion to Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts, I mean, in the playoffs, he has not thrown for over 200 yards. So you definitely got to you got to stop the run. That's the first thing you got to do against the Eagles. That's been their identity since they started 2-5 last year. It's been that running game. You got to force Jalen Hurts to beat you in this game. You got to contain that running game of the Eagles. And my third key to the game for the Chiefs, got to get the running game going with Pacheco. And that's what they struggled to do against the Bengals. They didn't do it against the Bengals. They got to do it in this game. If they don't get that running game going, it's gonna be tough, because it's not gonna set up play action for Mahomes. And for Mahomes with that bum ankle, he's gonna have some trouble against that Eagles pass rush is great. They're gonna get home. So the running game will if the Chiefs can get a running game going, it'll definitely negate that Eagles pass rush a little bit.
Yeah, for me, my first key as well for the Chiefs to knock off the Eagles was Pacheco as well. Again, the Eagles have been really good against the pass. They were best team all year against that. But we've seen, when they struggled this year, it's when teams are able to have success around the football on them, just like the Commanders did. They got to get Pacheco going. They got to be able to have that balance, as you said, because it'll be a long day for them. Because that it leads me to my other key as well, as Kansas City's got to protect Mahomes. Again, they're the first team to have 70 sacks in a season. You mentioned they had 4 guys with at least 11 sacks. They're going to be able to get home, and I think that gives the Eagles an advantage too, where they know their pass rushers can kind of, up front can put pressure on Mahomes, where they could drop back and, they don't have, they could drop back and only bring 4 guys, they could drop the other 7 back. So, for Kansas City, if they can get Mahomes time, he's going to be able to have some success, and that's going to be key for him. And then my last one for the Chiefs is they got to be able to scheme up a way for Chris Jones to be a pass rusher, but still making sure that he's going to be able to contain Jalen Hurts in this game. We saw what he did in that Bengals game. He was an absolute game wrecker. He's got to be able to do that. They got to, again, Hurts with that shoulder, they got to test him, see if he can throw on the run. If Chris Jones could kind of do what he did against the Bengals and just, take the game over, the Chiefs got a good shot of beating the Philadelphia Eagles.
And you've talked about Chris Jones. He was amazing in that game against the Bengals. He was outstanding. And yes, the Chiefs' defensive line has played really, really well in this postseason. But the issue is this offensive line they're facing on Sunday is much better than the Bengals' offensive line, and it's much better than the Jaguars' offensive line. This is the best offensive line in football, and this is by far. This is clearly the best offensive line in the game. So I don't know how much of a factor. I think Chris Jones will be more of a factor against the run. I think it'll be more of a factor against the run than he will be against the pass because this offensive line is really, really, really good. But we'll see what Spagnuolo does. Maybe he'll blitz. He'll try to blitz Hurts because Hurts has struggled against the blitz, and so we'll see if he does that. And obviously we'll see what Spags does on the back end. Does he play man or does he play zone? That's going to be very, very interesting in this game. If I'm him, I know Hurts is better against man coverage. But in this situation, I think what the Chiefs should do is have either, like I said earlier, have Thornhill or have Thornhill or Reed in the box and play man coverage. I know they don't have it's not a favorable matchup, but they do not want to give Hurts easy completions. Stop the run, not give Hurts easy completions. That's going to be a huge, huge key for the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if Hurts is able to get quick passes, and just kind of get a couple openings. Yeah, it's gonna totally open up the running game, and that's gonna open something deep downfield, which the Eagles have had some success against, or have had success all year, with the deep ball at times as well. So yeah, absolutely. That if the Chiefs cannot slow them down, and Hurts is able to just get some short, quick passes, it's gonna be a difficult day for the Chiefs to slow down that offense. So. Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough call for Spagnuolo, but it'll be interesting what he's kind of able to do, and because they're gonna have to try to get some pressure on Jalen Hurts there to just slow down that offense just a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. So now we'll go to the 3 keys to the game for the Eagles. And the first key to the game is pretty obvious. Get pressure on Patrick Mahomes. If they can get pressure on Patrick Mahomes, it could be a long, long day for the Chiefs offense because with Mahomes' ankle injury, if they win that battle at the line of scrimmage, if they destroy the Chiefs, I know the Chiefs have a good offensive line, but if they can destroy the Chiefs at the line of scrimmage, it could be a long, long day for that Chiefs offense. The Eagles have the best pass rush in football, have the best defensive line in football, and if they get pressure on Mahomes, it is going to be it could be a long day for that Chiefs offense. Number 2, get the running game going with Sanders. I really think if they do those 2 things, it's very, very hard for me to see the Eagles losing the game. If Sanders goes for over 100 yards and the Eagles get constant pressure on Patrick Mahomes, it's gonna be very, very hard for me to see them lose that game. Yeah, obviously Sanders is gonna be huge. If Sanders has a big game, the Eagles are putting up 30 points. I guarantee you that. If Sanders has a big game, they put up 30 because that just opens up play action for Jalen Hurts. There's a lot more easier completions for Jalen Hurts, and I think Jalen Hurts would have a big game. So those first 2 things that the Eagles have to do, if they put a ton of pressure on Mahomes and they get that running game going with Miles Sanders, they are going to be in really, really good shape in this game. And the last one is contain Travis Kelce. Do not let 87 beat you. Double him. Double. If MVS, Valdez, Scantling beat you, if Juju beat you, you tip your cap. You do not let Travis Kelce beat you. You jam at the line of scrimmage. You double him. That he is their best skill position player by far. And the Eagles need to contain. I know he'll have some yards, but the Eagles need to contain him. And if the Eagles do all 3 of those things, I don't see any way they lose this football game. Justin, your 3 keys for the Eagles.
Yeah, my 3. The first one for the Eagles is play keep alive. Their point differential in the first half this year is plus 163. That's 72 points higher than second place. They've been and then it's also too of being able to run the football. The Chiefs are 5-3 this year when their opponents run for 25 times or more. And then in 2 of those wins, they needed OT to beat the Titans. With Malik Willis, and again they had to come back against the Texans. I think that's something like the Eagles got to a fast start and they're able to run the football, keep Mahomes on the sideline. It's going to be a tough day for Kansas City. especially with that defense we talked about with the Eagles. It's going to be very challenging for them to come back. The second one is, for the Eagles, the key is, let having the mobility of Jalen Hurts. Kansas City's kind of struggled against the mobile quarterbacks. We kind of saw Burrow a couple of times be able to take off and had some runs. Lawrence had, I think, a 26-yard run. Russell Wilson a couple of times this year, he had runs of 16 and 19 yards, and Willis had a couple of runs against him as well that had some success. So, if Jalen Hurts is able to kind of get outside, find some green, Kansas City's kind of struggled against the quarterbacks that are capable of running the football this year. So I think that could be something that, that's going to open up that run pass option. It'll keep Kansas City off balance, and it'll be tough for the Kansas City Chiefs to stop. And my last one is for Philly to kind of, in Jalen Hurts, to kind of expose that young Kansas City secondary with some stuff downfield. As you mentioned, they got a couple of young guys. I feel like they've put a little bit better Kansas City secondary in the playoffs, but the Eagles have had some success with that downfield passing this year. Especially if this thing gets in a shootout, couple big plays for the Eagles there. The Eagles get hit on some big pass plays. Be a huge advantage for them. It'll be tough for the Chiefs to find a way to knock them off.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, I think the Eagles' downfield passing game, I know they had that big play against the Giants to open up the game, but you saw that miss against the 49ers. That downfield passing game of the Eagles has definitely struggled. So, as I've said earlier, I think if you are the Chiefs, you have to let you pretty much, if you have to make that choice, do you let the Eagles run the ball or do you let Hurts beat you? I think you got to let Hurts beat you because he has not thrown for over, and in two of those wins, he didn't throw for over 200 yards. So I think you definitely, if you are the Chiefs, you have to let Jalen Hurts beat you. But now we're going to get into our prediction for the game, and I think this is going to be a really, really close competitive game. I think it's going to be a really, really close competitive game. But I think what's going to help the Chiefs in this game is the Eagles are primarily a zone team on defense. Yes, they played more man in the playoffs, but the Eagles are primarily a zone team have been primarily a zone team all year with Jonathan Gannon. But I do think they'd be best served to play man against the Chiefs receiver, but they're primarily a zone team. And I think that's going to help the Chiefs because I think there's going to be holes in that zone that Mahomes is going to take advantage of. And that's why I think the Chiefs are going to move the ball. And I do think Pacheco is going to have a better game because if there's one weakness to this Eagles team, it's the run defense. And it was kind of getting exposed a little bit in that first half against the 49ers. And we'll never know what would happen if Brock Purdy stayed healthy because you saw McCaffrey. He had a really good first half against the Eagles. So I do think Pacheco, he's not going to have a dominant game. And I think he's going to have a good game. And he's going to be in that range of 75 to 90 yards rushing. I think he's going to be in that range. And that's going to help Mahomes. And if the Eagles play zone defense, that's going to help Mahomes too. So I do think the Chiefs do move the ball in this game. I think Mahomes is going to face pressure, but I don't think the pass rush is going to be as much of an impact as people think because of the Eagles zone defense and because of the Chiefs and because I think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball. And that's why I think the Chiefs are going to move the ball in this game. And I also do think the Chiefs' experience is going to play a factor. I think they're the team that starts fast in this game. I think they get off to the early lead, and I think the Eagles start a little bit slow in this game. I think Jalen Hurts starts a little bit slow in this game, but by the second quarter and for the rest of the game, he eventually picks it up, and the Eagles move the ball. But I do think the Chiefs contain Miles Sanders. I really do. I think one of the biggest strengths of this Chiefs defense is that run defense with Chris Jones and Nick Bolton, and I think they contain Miles Sanders. And I also think the quarterback that makes more mistakes in this game is going to be Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to make more mistakes than Patrick Mahomes. I think it's going to be a close competitive game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the team with the better quarterback, and I'm going to take the more experienced team. And that's why I got the Chiefs winning their second Super Bowl in 4 years, beating the Eagles 34-27. But Justin, can Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts lead the Eagles to their second Super Bowl title in 6 years?
I think they do. I got the Eagles 20-24. I think the Eagles win this game in the trenches. I think the way that their defensive line's been dominant all year, and the way their offensive line's been able to protect Jalen Hurts this year, and I think the way Miles Sanders be able to run the football, I think he's got success. I think he's got success in this game. I think for the Eagles as well, they'll keep the Chiefs kind of off balance defensively of whether they're going to run or pass the football. I think AJ Brown has a good day. I think Devontae Smith plays well. I think Hurts is, we'll see how healthy he is. I think for both quarterbacks, they are obviously going to be a little bit healthier than they were 2 weeks ago. But I know it's different, but Hurts is playing a national championship game. I know it's different than playing the Super Bowl, but he's kind of, he's been in that big game before, which I think is going to help him kind of try to settle into this game a little bit. It'll be kind of interesting how they kind of come out that first years and kind of play it. But I think Jalen Hurts is a guy that's, again, we saw the comeback at Alabama too, kind of coming back, and this guy's kind of been, he's not afraid of the moment, and he's always got a chip on his shoulder. So I think Hurts plays well in this game. I think the Eagles defense, does enough to get after Mahomes. I think they keep him, in the pocket enough, or where they have some success. And I think the Eagles do find a way to win this football game. And I'll take the Eagles 20-24 to win their second Super Bowl.
Yeah, it should be a great game, but I think it's all going to come down to for the Chiefs just being able to run for them. I think it's definitely going to come down to just being able to run the football to not make Mahomes, because this isn't going to be like the Super Bowl for them 3 years ago where they could survive without a running game because Mahomes was completely athletic and superhuman. Mahomes is, with his ankle injury, is not. I'm not saying he's not phenomenal, but he's going to need some help. That's why this running game is going to be completely crucial. It's going to be so crucial for the Chiefs and for the Eagles. I think the way they play defense is going to be crucial. I think there needs to be a lot of man coverage in this game. If they play man coverage and they stop the run, I think there's no way the Eagles lose. I just don't see them doing. I don't think they do either of those two things. But if they do both of them, I don't see them losing. But either way, it should be a phenomenal game.
Yeah, absolutely should. Mention from Ty, it's definitely the two top teams right now in the NFL. They're both, the best in the conference all year in their respective conferences. Yeah, it's going to be an outstanding football game. You got, the Eagles have been a good story this year, with the way they played. So yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Expect it to be close. And it'll come down to the final drive there and who has the football last. But expect it to be a really good football game. Should be high scoring, and should be a very entertaining game Sunday night.
Now we'll get to the storylines going into this game. We'll first start with Andy Reid, and the big question is how much pressure is on Andy Reid to win this game? And I think there's no one in this game under more pressure than Andy Reid, and here's why. If he loses this Super Bowl, he would be 1-3 in Super Bowls. He would be 1-3, and also this would be the second Super Bowl the Eagles would win without him. Andy Reid coached there for 14 years. He got to 5 NFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl, but he didn't win a Super Bowl. And if the Eagles win this game, this would be the second Super Bowl they'd win without him. If Andy Reid doesn't win this game, I don't think you could put him in the conversation. You obviously can't put him in. You still can't put, even if he wins this game, you can't put him in the Belichick, Noel, Walsh, Lombardi. You can't put him on that level. But if he loses this game, I don't think you can put him in that conversation with the Bill Parcells and the Joe Gibbs. I think you could argue I think if he loses this game, I think he's definitely not a top 10 coach of all time. And he's more thought of a coach. And he's definitely one of those coaches that'll be thought about like not be kind of a lesser version of Marl Levy, a coach that can't win the big game. That's why I think there is a ton of pressure on Andy Reid to win this game.
Yeah, there's pressure on him. Because I know it's been tough 1-2 so far. But especially going up against his former team, it's kind of that you want to knock him off there. But I think with that, especially what he's done this year with that off, you lost Tyreek Hill. I mean, you look at some of the other quarterbacks that look at Rodgers when he lost Adams, that offense had to skip the beat this year. But yeah, talking about kind of more of the big game in that, if he goes 1-3, it's tough to kind of put him in that top range of coaches of all time because they haven't been able to, get it done. Again, even the one that they did when they were down 10 with 5 minutes left. You
could argue Shanahan handed them the game.
Yeah, you really could. So it's one of those things. So yeah, I think for him and to kind of be up there with all time coaches, there's a lot of pressure to kind of get this game and knock off the Eagles and knock off your foreign team because he had chances there in Philly. They just couldn't get over the hump. So it'd be another tough loss for him. But yeah, I do think there's some pressure on Andy Reid on Sunday to win this game.
Yeah, I think there's a ton because of what I said earlier, and the fact this would be a second loss with Mahomes. That's not great, losing 2 Super Bowls with that kind of quarterback. So being 1-2 with Mahomes, that's not a great record. And then looking at your previous track record in big games. So I think this is a humongous game for Andy Reid because of the previous organization he was at. They could have 2 Super Bowls without him, and he would have a 1-2 record with probably the best player in the league.
Yeah, that'd be difficult. I know, I know Hurts is banged up, but yeah, I mean Mahomes, but yeah, it's a game totally you should still win. I know that Tampa won. Obviously there were some other issues going on before that, which I don't know if that was kind of, just kind of affected the whole team. But yeah, it definitely kind of, for somebody, because he's been so good, he's got one of the best offensive minds in the game. So yeah, it's a little it's a little weird that for a guy that's been that good offensively, or just have that offensive mind, that he loses. This would be another loss with Patrick Mahomes, as his quarterback in the Super Bowl. So yeah, it would be it'd definitely be a little tough. Yeah, it would definitely be tough to put him up there as one of the all-time greats with another Super Bowl loss.
Absolutely. Now we'll get to Patrick Mahomes. We talked about an all-time. We're talking about Reid as an all-time great coach. Now we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. And say Patrick Mahomes doesn't win this Super Bowl, I think it is hard to put him in that. I know you won't put him in even if he wins this, you won't put him in the conversation with Brady or even Montana yet. But I think if he loses this Super Bowl, I still think it's tough to put him in that conversation with Peyton Manning, with John Elway, with Aaron. We'll see about Aaron Rodgers, with like a Peyton Manning or a Aaron Rodgers. But if he wins this Super Bowl, I think you're putting him in that conversation with Peyton, with Rodgers, and you're putting him in that conversation with John Elway. You're already putting him in that conversation with those quarterbacks. If he wins this game, I think you could arguably say he might be a top 5 quarterback of all time if he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think he's definitely getting up there already. It's like right around the top 10. I'd put him in right now. Yeah, he got that. He'd already have that second Super Bowl ring, which is would be pretty impressive at his age, and that he's already got 2 before he kind of hits 30. So I think because of that too, and there's not there's not a ton above, or there's not a ton of there's not a ton of more quarterbacks that have more than 2 that are already above him, because he's already better than Big Ben and like Aikman and Bradshaw, but like on top of but up there because he's kind of getting close to what Staubach was and Brett Starr, and they both got 2. So yeah, I'd put him right around top 10. Yeah, we'd be inching closer to that top 5, and yeah, he's still got a lot of career ahead of them. That dynasty, they again, they're kind of building something right there that to be the kind of the next team to beat in the AFC. They've been in the numbers that he's putting up so far, he's been unbelievable his first couple years in the league. And then with the talent that they've had offensively with Andy Reid, he's definitely on track to be one of he's already getting up there. But yeah, he's been fun to watch the first couple years in the league for him.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, right now he's clearly the best player in the league. I think he obviously should be the MVP. They should name him the MVP tomorrow night. But if he wants to get to Brady, he's definitely got to win this game. He's definitely got to. If there's even a conversation of getting, I think if he loses this game, I don't think he's ever getting to Brady. I don't think he's ever getting to Brady. He's to get to Tom Brady. He's got to win this game. He's got to win this game if he has any chance to get to Tom Brady. But if he does win this game, I definitely would put him up there, because you see what he lost in the offseason. He loses Tyreek Hill and then goes and probably wins an MVP and then wins a Super Bowl. I think he's definitely top 10. I think he's arguably top 5. Yeah,
he'd definitely be right there in the discussion to be in the top 5. What he lost again in the season that he's had yet again, and to kind of it just like I've said it. He hasn't that offense this year has not skipped a beat. He's made Vantas Scanlon better. Juju Smith they're not great wide receivers, and they've had good years. And Kelsey's one of the best tight ends in the league as well, which helps. But yeah, he hasn't missed a beat, and he's been absolutely one of the best. He's right now the best player in the sport. And yeah, he's gonna win another MVP probably tomorrow night.
Absolutely. So lastly, we'll talk about Nick Sirianni. And the big question with Nick Sirianni is if he wins this Super Bowl, where would you put him in the hierarchy of coaches in the NFL? For me, I still would not put him top 5. I think top 5 is pretty clear with Belichick, Reed, Tomlin, and then McVay or Harbaugh. I think top 5 or top 6, that stays the same. I would say top 10. I would definitely say top 10 if he wins this game, but not top 5. And I'm not saying what Julian Love said, anybody could coach a team. I think he's done a great job. But I still think even if he wins this Super Bowl, he won it with the best roster in the league. So I would not say if he wins this game, I would not consider him a top 5 coach, but I would definitely consider him a top 10 coach. And he definitely has, no matter what, he's definitely came a long way from that first press conference.
Yeah, he has. That first press conference, it looked like this thing was never going to last. But yeah, I put him in the top 10. I'm like, there's only 9 active coaches that won a Super Bowl. So I would have to slot him, I think, kind of right there as automatically in the top 10. So, again, he took over a team that was 4-11-1, and he got in the playoffs last year. And obviously this year they, obviously being in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I think he's done a really nice job with this roster. And get him to the next step, the development of Jalen Hurts. So yeah, I think I'd have to put him right there in the top 10 for what he's done. So, and another thing too with his in game, I actually was from the Patriot Radio guy, Bob Sochi. He hasn't called one timeout in the last 2 years because he hasn't gotten to play in on time. Like he seems like he's done pretty good mostly in kind of a lot of those management situations for a young coach. So I think he's done a pretty good job. I think I'd have to put him, in the top 10 if he wins this game on Sunday.
And that's a really good point. They've never had to call a timeout. That's crazy. They've never had to call a timeout because they couldn't get a play in. That just shows you, man, the guy's organized, the guy's prepared. The guy is definitely much better than we thought he was going to be. We thought, this coach isn't Doug Peterson. The Eagles shouldn't have gotten rid of Doug Peterson. But it's close. If he wins this game, you could argue he's as good or better than Doug Peterson.
Yeah, absolutely. For the year, for what he's done with this organization now, maybe it was time for Doug to kind of move on and go somewhere else. Obviously we've seen that at Jacksonville. But yeah, again, I go back to my Patriots. I think every week we had to call at least one timeout because we could not get a play on time. Like,
oh, man. That's another story there.
Yeah, that is. We saw it at home with the Broncos. You see it a lot nowadays. The coaches just, especially now when everybody wants the new offense, they trying to find the new offensive genius, and it's a different world, when you become that coach. And I think we see that at times. So yeah, it's been really refreshing to kind of see a guy, as you mentioned. Yeah, it's been organized, prepares. He knows what he's doing out there, and he's done a really good job. It's impressive, that he hasn't had to use one yet.
Yeah, very, very impressive. Very impressive. So Derek Carr's career with the Raiders is pretty much over, but he definitely will be either released or be with a new team soon. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financials and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEG's Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEG's Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
So for Derek Carr and the Raiders, they have until if the Raiders do not trade Derek Carr or release Derek Carr until February 15th, they are going to be on the hook for his guaranteed salary this year of $40 million. But it's pretty obvious that he won't be a Raider past February 15th. He'll either be traded by then, by I would say next Wednesday. He'll either be traded by then or he'll be released. And looking at Derek Carr, we're going to talk about what would be his 3 top destinations. And I'll start with me. For me, I think it's 3 top destinations. Number 1, I think it's the Jets. I think that defense is one of the best in football. The problem with the Jets last year is they had the worst quarterback play in the league. Their quarterback play was horrible. Hopefully with them getting Vera Tucker back and with Becton coming back, their offensive line will be good. Garrett Wilson is awesome. He's very easy to win Rookie of the Year. We all know how good Sauce Gardner is. Think about it with the Jets. They might have the offensive Rookie of the Year and the defensive Rookie of the Year, and they didn't make the playoffs. That just shows you how pathetic their quarterback situation was. So Derek Carr would be a really good fit on that team. I mean, I don't know how if they would be a Super Bowl contender, but they definitely would be a team that'd be competing for a playoff spot if Derek Carr went there. So that's why I think, and I do think if Derek Carr goes there with that defense and some of the talent on offense, don't forget about Breece Hall got hurt. I think the Jets, he definitely has. I think he has a better chance to win with the Jets this year than he did with the Raiders last year. My second team is the Saints, and today he's meeting with the Saints. They also are a team that's in need of a quarterback. And why this makes a lot of sense is, and trading for makes sense is, their pick. They have the 29th pick in the draft, so they're not going to get one of the top QBs in the draft. So this definitely makes sense for them to make a trade. And he has and when he got drafted, his head coach was Dennis Allen, who is now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So I know he wasn't the head coach for too long. He ended up getting fired 4 games into that season, but I think this definitely would be a good fit. I know the offensive line's a little bit shaky, but I think Trevor Penning can develop there. The defense is still good, not great, but good, and they still have really good weapons on offense. You got Kamara and you got Chris Olave, who also is going to be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I definitely think the Saints would be a good fit. And third would be the Bucs. I think the Bucs still have a decent defense. I know the offensive line needs some work. They need to upgrade their running game, but the Bucs would definitely. That would definitely be my third destination. Not as good as the Saints and not as good as the Jets, because I don't like the Bucs roster as much as I like the Saints and the Jets roster. But that would be my third destination. Justin, your top 3 destinations for Derek Carr.
My top 3, I got number 1. I got the Saints as well. As you mentioned, they already kind of Dennis Allen, Derek Carr have a little bit of a relationship there back in Oakland, so that helps. And the Saints were very aggressive going after Deshaun Watson. So I think they're gonna, if everything goes well in that meeting today, I expect the Saints to, make an offer or wait till he's a free agent. And I bet they kind of pursue him pretty aggressively as well, like they did with Watson. And I think that would put the Saints as the favorite in that NFC South. As you mentioned too, the Bucs now without Brady, the roster's not great. So, I think the Saints are one, again, I know that division's not great, but they're one quarterback away from, being the best team in that division. My second one is the Jets. Yeah, you kind of look at it and with Zach Wilson really struggled last year. The quarterback play was not good, as you mentioned. I even think it kind of helps too to have a veteran guy in that locker room, and that will take accountability. And that's what Carr did for so many years in Oakland and in Vegas. They didn't really have that this year. There was always something Elijah Moore kind of, comments about the offensive coordinator, Zach Wilson. I think they do need a veteran guy in that locker room. And I think, Derek Carr will help them on the field and off the field. I really respect Derek Carr for, going up that podium every week, playing with the Raiders for all those years, and kind of putting stuff on himself and all that. So I think the Jets, that's a team that could be. I know they could be in that Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes as well, but if they can't get Rodgers for whatever reason, I think Derek Carr is a good second option there. And my last one is the Carolina Panthers. We know they need to upgrade their quarterback situation. It's not Darnold or Matt Corral. They really haven't had stability there since Cam Newton, was still quarterback in there. Obviously there's some, the roster's, defense, still young. It's gotten a little bit better. They got no McCaffrey. Like, again, it's not going to be a playoff team with Derek Carr coming back. That division is pretty bad where maybe you could somehow win that division depending on what happens this offseason. But I think Carolina, they just need to get a quarterback, even if you just want Carr for a year or two while you try to just figure out who you want for your long-term option, or maybe they think Matt Corral's that guy. I think Derek Carr could be a good spot for the Panthers, even for just a couple of years if they don't want him as the long-term guy.
Yeah, I do. I think, the Panthers are a good fit because of that defense. That defense is really good. They showed that even with McCaffrey, they were able to run the ball, and DJ Moore's a good receiver. So that'd be a good fit. Yeah, all those AFC South teams are not bad fits for Carr. I think the worst would probably be Atlanta because of their defense. But really, all those fits would not be bad for Derek Carr. And obviously, the Jets is a really, really good fit there too. But it's more than likely he's going to be released or traded by the Raiders by the middle of next week. By the middle of next week, so it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what happens with Derek Carr. But that's gonna wrap it up for this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. But we are gonna be back in 15 minutes talking about LeBron breaking the scoring record and Kyrie Irving joining the Dallas Mavericks. So talk to everyone in 15 minutes.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.